Hey lead guitarists, I want to show you something today. It's a very easy way to move around your whole neck with just one simple idea in your head, and you don't have to think of any of the patterns. Do you ever hear people do this? Well, I'll show you how to do that. Stay tuned. Today on Lead Guitar Workshop, I want to show you a very simple trick to help move up and down strings in the pentatonic world. There are other variations for other kinds of scales, but this is a really easy one. I simply call this, BSS BS. And what that represents is the spacings of a pentatonic scale, and specifically right now a minor pentatonic scale. We know a pentatonic scale, penta, 5, is 5 tones. What we're going to talk about is the spacing between the 5 tones to help you understand on one string where to look for this stuff. As a guitar player, let's start in E. Everything is... So much is in E, man. Guitar, E for electric, come on, right? So we hang out in E minor a lot on the guitar. So let's take a look at that on one string to see how we can break out of our traditional boxes to help this BSS, BS move around the neck, and also how it can actually help you control the 5 boxes. We'll show you that in a second too. So let's take a look at the very first thing, our open E string, right? So if we said B, what the B stands for of BSS, BS is big, the big space. That's the 3-fret span in a pentatonic. In this case, it might be an open to the 3rd fret. But if I do the little rock and roll shape here, that is the 3-fret span of the big space. The S of BSS, BS is small or short. And that's the 1 to 3 fret. That's a 1 to 3rd finger, 2-fret span on your fretboard. So if we combine the BSS, BS, you'll get a minor pentatonic from the very first starting point. So we have an E note here, our open E string. So we go big. That puts us on the 3rd fret. Now we go small. So from that 3rd fret, the same note, now we do a small space, which means the 5th fret. We have another S, small, BSS. That's 5th fret to 7th fret. Now we hit our other big, the B. That's from the 7th to 10th frets. And lastly, of the BSS, BS is a small space, which will be 10 to 12. As guitar players, we know our 12th fret, the double dot here, at least a double dot up here, is our starting over points, where the octave happens on one string going up. So if I play that in order, we'll have our 5 tones. Remember, the BSS, BS stands for the spacing between the notes. So from the first note, I get the big, then a small, small, big, small. And I can keep going. Big, small, small, big, and I have to bend up to the last one, the last small. So you have to get used to going up and down. So you go up, B, S, S, B, S, then come back down. Now the awesome thing is that happens on all 6 strings. It's not just because we're in E either, because of the open strings. It's just a musical thing. There's always 3 spaces between 3 half steps between the big space and 2 between the small space. And the pentatonics are all built like that on all the instruments. When you play a piano, you can kind of see it if you count the keys, but on like saxophones and other instruments, you don't really see that relationship as much. But on the guitar, you can clearly see this. So let's start in another E. Let's start on our E on the 5th fret of the B string. So I can go big, small, small, then big, small. And that's the same note an octave higher from where I started. And again, it works on any string. Let's go to the D string. I have an E note here on the 2nd fret of the D string. I can go up BSS, BS. So one of the cool benefits of this, of course, is when you hear people sliding. I remember hearing even like Hendrix would do this a lot, and even Steve Vai kind of adopted this thing in his own way, where he would play a single note and just kind of go up and down, obviously one string. And of course that even works with the hammer-on and pull-off on the open string in E, because I have the 2 fret, the small, behind my starting point. Really nice effect, really outside the normal guitar thing, we have just 2 notes per string. You can really open this up. So of course, regular sliding without a slide, you can do this. And you would do the same thing with a metal or glass slide on your hand. People use these things with open strings a lot. So you hear, like, I remember Alex Lifeson would do this stuff a lot, or even Angus Young does this kind of thing too, where if you're, say I'm back on the open E, the high E string, you can play multiple groups and do hammer-ons and pull-offs to connect them in different ways. So I could do like, you can do that on any way you want to imagine that. Just all descending. Yeah, I know Hendrix does that on Come On Part 1, right? But you can combine this many different ways. The cool thing is it happens again on all 6 strings, and the wild thing is if you mapped out each of the 6 strings with this BSS-BS, you would get to all of the notes of the E minor pentatonic. We also know that's G major, and we'll talk about that in 1 second. And that would be the same as your traditional 5 patterns. Awesome, that's so cool. So this idea really helped me connect my patterns up in and out and really blur the line of the 5 patterns to make it one giant pattern. That's the real goal, is you want to see your whole fretboard for the whole key for the entire pentatonic. Now I mentioned a second ago that we can do major pentatonics. We know, musically speaking, we talked about the rock and roll rule. If you haven't, check out the other video I have about playing a pentatonic with just one shape, and the rock and roll rule for all major and minor. It's really important, really cool. So we know the real rock and roll rule in this key of E minor is also G major. So G major is a partner to E minor. They live in the same house. One you go through the front door, one you go through the back door, but it's the same information. So the same notes I played, but if I start now on the G note, now I just, for the formula, so the minor formula again was BSS, BS. We just bump the first big space to the back of the line, the end of the formula, whatever, and that will be the major pentatonic. It's the same notes in the same order, just starting with the 2 small spaces first. So let's take a look. Here's the G. So I'm going to start with my 2 small spaces. 1, 2. I have a big space after that. Then I have a small. And I now finish with the big space. And as you'll notice, I'm up on the G on the 15th fret, an octave higher. So if I hit my chord, I can do it from the open G, right? So I have 2 smalls, a big, small, and the last big. So awesome. Last parting thought. I first came across this idea only because I was trying to connect my 5 pentatonic patterns. So like I said, this BSS-BS, or the major version, SSBSB, is the pentatonic scale on 1 string. So initially, when we teach our 5 pentatonic patterns, the traditional boxes, we can connect them that way and remind ourselves what the shapes are. So if I'm thinking the thick, or again the thin string, it's the same information. Pattern 1 is the first big space. Pattern 2 is the first small space. Pattern 3 is the second small space. Pattern 4 is the other big one. That's the second big one. And then pattern 5 is the last small one. So just like the patterns, this happens to be for the E minor, G major key. We would have pattern 1 here, which is the big space. Pattern 2 is the small. Pattern 3 is the small. Pattern 4 is the big. Pattern 5 is the small, and back to pattern 1 starting all over again. And again, those are the same notes, same pattern for E minor pentatonic as well as G major. I hope you like this. This really opened up a lot of awesome sounds, and I really felt awesome getting this under my belt. Please subscribe to the channel. Add some comments below what you think. Let me know if you have a little, was it an acronym you say for the BSSBS? I say some things in class, some things I don't know if I get muted here on YouTube for it. There's a lot of BS in the world, right? But this is a good one to have on your fretboard. So again, check out leadguitarworkshop.com. Check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page. We have different stuff on all the different social platforms. I look forward to seeing you guys again in the future. Please, again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, let your friends know. Lead Guitar Players Unite. We're keeping this mission going, and I'm loving it. Thank you, guys. Rock and roll.